Shazam, issue 11, Josie Campbell writing with Emanuela Lupacino on the art. So, we had the cliffhanger last time was that the captain, Shazam, is burning letters that are being sent to Billy, but Billy doesn't know about this. So that's what we sort of came into this issue with it in our minds. This issue revolves largely around the fact that a woman from Child Protection Services, or whatever it's called, is
CPS.
There you go. Yeah. Is there to interview all the kids to see if the adoption can go through, right? So this is them approving of the adoption. And one of my favorite details about all this, because early on in the issue, Mary's like got a meeting with all the siblings and is like, hey, this is what we're doing today. This is what all your roles are. Freddie, don't be a smart ass. Eugene, you have to show that how smart you are to show how much you thrive in this environment, so on and so on. And I love that Darla's missing and she's away doing her own thing, and she's like,
she's scheming.
Well, my favorite part is that all the other like kids, when they're getting labeled in this scene, it says whatever their duty is. So for Eugene, it's make everyone look good duty, right? That's what it says under him. When it cuts to Darla and she's on her own with Hoppy, who, by the way, she can't understand Hoppy. Only the captain and Mary can understand him. But she yells out as she breaks into Billy's room to investigate, because she saw the whole thing with the burning letters. She yells out, Darla and Hoppy investigation duty. And that made me laugh because, like, the page with Mary saying all this stuff, like, she wasn't actually saying those phrases. That was just like the labels on the page. So I love the idea that this isn't even the first time this stuff has come up. But either way, it was a nice little callback to that page, and it made me laugh in the way that Shazam often does. I really like that.
Yep.
So yeah, but that's the main bulk of the issue, is this woman's there, and it's them trying to hide all the weird supernatural things around the house. Like, Tawny being behind the door and them trying to pretend they've got a tiger mannequin in the house.
It's a tiger mannequin. It doesn't move. And God, that's so funny.
Yeah, that's really good. Them trying to hide the fact that the van crashed into the house, trying to hide the door that goes to the Rock of Eternity, like all these things. But she really wants to speak to Billy, and that's the big crux of this issue, the emotional gut punch, because the issue actually opens with a flashback to when Billy's mum like shows up at school to pick him up angry, and it turns out she's angry because he had the teacher call home to say, hey, where are you? He needs picked up. And she's livid with him for him asking for help, because this will make her look bad and they might take him away. So she's like, oh, my boyfriend will be upset now because he's got a lot going on. So it really sells this horrible home life that he had before he went into the foster system.
Yeah, it's definitely not on that. And there's the theme that I like that goes on with Billy throughout this is, at the beginning, as we're getting his narration, he says when he was younger, he thought normal is what he saw on TV. Kids eating Brussels sprouts and sitcoms, families going on vacation and kid shows. And then what Josie Campbell does is gives us a sitcom-like premise of them trying to hide things from the CPS lady in a very sitcom-y fashion, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And because that is what's normal to the Shazam family. And so, Billy has made this because of his family. He has made it his own normal. And it's kind of...
By the end of the issue, this mum's going to show up threatening to take him out of the sitcom and back to the crap life that he had before.
Yep.
Because that's the thing, like, the lady's interviewing them all and they fight off these, fun enough, giant bat creatures, but, they're shutting curtains to avoid the fight as and Billy's having to run out and be Captain Marvel and run back in and be Billy again. It's very much a hijinks issue. Mary's trying to take care of it. Actually, one of my details here that I really loved was that Mary's told to stay outside with the parents so she can have like interviews with the kids, and she's like, wait, what are you talking about? And she's like, you're 18, you're not my concern, and if you want to live with these two people, you can. You're 18. It's your choice.
You're out of the system, you're not my problem.
I need to talk to the underage people. And I thought that was a really neat thing to show. Oh, that's a really cool little detail that Mary now, like, she doesn't have to be adopted, she just gets to live with them. Like, that's fine. So I like that detail. But yeah, there's this little thing towards the end between Darla finding the other burned letters that are under the bed, selling this idea that someone's been trying to get in touch for a while, and eventually this lady from the company's like, hey, honestly, there's no reason to not approve the adoption, but there is one parent who's who's saying no. There's a parent, there's a natural parent who's blocking this adoption, and like, what the hell are you talking about? And the cliffhanger is Billy's mum at the door saying, "Did you get my letters?" So obviously we have this cliffhanger here of how this might interfere with the life, if it's really the mum. Like, let's not count out the fact that this could be someone taking the form of Billy's mum.
Yeah, because the bat creatures are attacking the house because through the house it's leaking magic from the Rock of Eternity.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get into that magic so then they can restore the whole bat creatures through Earth and whatever. So yeah, who knows? It could be some other magic shenanigans.
That's option one, right? But whether or not it turns out that it's really her or not, and that's obviously good drama because it's interfering with this better life that he's now found, and raises the question of like, well, what's better, the life with the natural parent that can stake a claim, even though it was an unhappy life, versus like this found family that's better for him. But the more interesting thing from a character perspective is this idea of, okay, the captain chose to hide this from him and has been hiding it from him for some time, at least months, based on the number of letters that we see in that box that have been destroyed. And this idea that the captain's like almost like stepping out of his way to protect Billy and like stop him from knowing about it is very interesting. This idea that he's maybe going over a line and being too protective to the point where, hey, you're making this choice for him now, he should be able to make this for himself. And then you get to argue, well, is the captain still part of Billy, and therefore is this part of his subconscious that doesn't want him to know? You know, like, there's some interesting questions from a character perspective to think about.
Yeah, because when he's arguing with himself in the mirror, and on the other side of the mirror is the captain. The captain says, "I used my wisdom of Solomon to know that what I was doing was right for you." You know, so like, is it just Billy's, you know, like you said, subconscious protecting him? You know, or is this something else? Is the captain its own identity, but that identity still wants to protect Billy?
Yeah, these are interesting questions, and I think they all work because ultimately, even if it is just like part of himself that wants to sort of block it out, like given what we see at the start about how bad his child life was with her and how much she didn't care about him, like, you know, this is the sort of thing you hear about people blocking out, like not wanting to think about traumatic childhoods and whatnot. It's definitely an interesting take, and I enjoyed it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it did occur to me that there was a very similar cliffhanger in John's run with the dad showing up, and then you remember, because he looked like Captain Marvel, he looked like adult Billy, and that was the only thing that dampened this a little bit for me, is that I remember a very similar cliffhanger happening in the last few years. That said, though, I do think this is a better run than that run, and I think there's more interesting things going on with the captain hiding it from Billy. It adds that extra layer to it that gives it a bit more pep, a bit more, you know, intrigue. So, you know, that's all, you know, honestly, this is exactly the sort of wacky hijinks I like from a Shazam book. It's all the family working together for a good cause, which is wanting to get the adoption approved, but there's all these other things going on, so they're having to like duck and dive and deal with it. Also, Hoppy's continual fear of Tawny is also amusing. I enjoyed that as well.
Because the fact that we can also understand Hoppy, and so when Darla's like, yeah, you come with me, we'll get this done, and Hoppy's telling her, as long as you don't leave me with the big tiger, we're good.
As long as you keep that cat away from me, we're A-okay. We can do whatever you want.
Yep. Very funny.
Yeah.
So,
also, there's something...
What?
I was gonna say, there's something really sweet about Darla really bonding with Hoppy, despite the fact that she can't understand him. It is very like it's almost like, you know, it's the idea of a little kid bonding with a pet, but the pet's actually intelligent. The kid just can't like understand them. There's something really sweet about that.
There's almost like a nonverbal communication with them. Darla knows, you know, Darla knows, but can't exactly understand. She's just going off of vibes, which kind of checks for her because she's the sweetest character ever. So, of course, Hoppy would feel comfortable with her. Yeah, so I'm interested to develop that a little bit further as well if we go. Lupacino's art is very nice, very clean, as it usually is. I love her Mary Marvel, but her regular Mary looks off to me, and I can't explain why. It just, maybe it feels like the proportions are off. Really? Okay, that wasn't... Yeah, it's not bad. It's just, again, I don't know. It was maybe
Yeah, I can't say I have any problem with her. I think her Mary's one of the better looking characters she has.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think part of that is just because it's easier because she's more of an adult now. It's
Yeah.
easier to draw an adult or a teenager than it is to draw a kid.
Preteen. Yeah. And that might be what it is too. Is I'm still not used to that whole Mary's a upper teen, right? So.
Yeah. Actually,
but her Mary Marvel looks fine, which is weird because they look almost the same. It's just those pages with Billy and the rest of the kids. I don't know, maybe because the proportions, because they're making her look so much bigger because she's older. I don't know. Maybe it was a perspective thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine with that. I think what's interesting to me is that I feel like Darla's looking a little bit taller than normal, but I don't necessarily think that's a mistake. I think that might just be a conscious choice of saying, hey, she's not 7 anymore, she's more like 8 or 9. Like, like if Mary's hitting 18, then technically all the other kids have to be going up an age or 2 as well.
Yeah,
so
true.
And kids, grow fast when they're younger. So
because Billy's meant to be like what, 13-ish?
So yeah, 13, 14, something in that range.
God.
Yeah. So like I buy that Darla's close to those double digits now, given that she feels a bit taller, a bit older looking.
For sure.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, so I enjoyed that. I also just enjoyed the comedy of like, well, you've got a bunny in here in the kitchen. That's unsanitary. And you just like the woman just clicks her pen. It's just it's just visual comedy or audio comedy, I guess in this case, because it's a sound effect. But
it's like, don't tell her that the tiger's the one that makes the food.
Well, my favorite part of it is that she clicks the pen, and then the next panel is like most of the kids like gasping in shock as if they're gasping to the pen click, which is funny. But then you get the reverse shot, and it's because there's a bat monster at the window. Yeah. So there was a really good like knock on like 3 panels of like the click's funny, their reaction to the click's funny. Oh no, they're actually reacting to a monster outside that they have to deal with now in secret. Even funnier. So it was a nice little knock on effect of each panel leading to the next. So really digging this. I think, like, I mean, Wade's issues were so good, but I think Josie Campbell is like really solid here, and I liked her Mary Marvel book. I think so far, I think this is good potential to be better than her Mary Marvel mini, and I'm glad she's sticking around with these characters, and it feels nice that she gets to write Mary being kind of the adult of the bunch now, because she already wrote some of that character before, so she gets to like continue that maturing that she started with her going to college and coming back and all that stuff.
Yeah. So. Yeah, we knew she had a good voice for Hoppy and Mary, but seeing the rest of the voice come through, like for Darla, like you said, investigation duty, you know, that type of stuff, it feels spot on.
Also, I will say though, the one thing that stuck out to me is I think Mary is the only one out of all the kids who's not operating under Power Rangers rules. All the other kids are wearing their color. Billy's got a red top. Freddy's wearing a blue top. Pedro has got...
Pedro's green, I think, right?
Oh, yeah, I guess he's not. But Eugene's wearing black, because he gets like a dark grey outfit, right? So I guess 2 of them aren't. But like, I was... Because Darla's in purple. So it is interesting that like some of them are operating under Power Rangers logic where they have to always be wearing their color. But she isn't. Maybe there's some symbolism in the idea that the oldest one and not the smartest one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't explain this thing. I thought it was interesting. It was just Mary. Now that I've noticed that one other kid isn't, I can't really give you a good reason for it now.
Yeah, because she's wearing purple as Mary.
Yes.
So it would make more sense if it was a lighter red or whatever. But yeah.
Or even
to distinguish from Billy's.
Even a yellow or gold to go with the lightning bolt would have worked as an alternative. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
It's, I was reading into that and having fun with it, and then I noticed that Pedro wasn't wearing his color, and it killed all of my analysis, so never mind. But regardless, super fun issue, and I like that it's got an ongoing story that's actually developing the characters a bit, and it felt like all the kids got to have something to do here for the most part. If anything, it's Pedro and Eugene that usually get a little bit of the shaft, just because they're kind of the other 2 that always come as a pair. Because Darla gets to be the young, cute one, Mary gets to be the adult, Billy's kind of always the default main character, Freddy's like the secondary character. So Pedro and Eugene are the ones that usually get the least to do, but still, I mean, it's always nice to have them all around and feeling like part of the story. So, anything else you'd like to add?
No, that's about it.
All right. Well, in that case, we can rate the book.
I'm gonna give this an 8.
Honestly, I'm happy to give this the 8.5. I had a really good time.